Shalom and welcome back to Israel with Aline. Today we came to Galilee to discover two of the greatest archaeological mysteries in all of Israel. One is a ritual site on a cliff at the top of a mountain that's over 3,000 years old and raises many questions. And then we will head to a pre-Diluvian site, a colossal structure, but it's inside, submerged beneath the waters of the Sea of Galilee. A structure that, until a few years ago, was completely unknown and that not even scientists can say who built it or how it was made. So if you're ready, let's get started. We're now climbing to the top of a mountain to show you an incredible place. And I guarantee you've never even heard of it. Because the place had been forgotten for a very, very long time and was only rediscovered by chance, unintentionally, by archaeologists in 2018. The archaeologists from the University of Haifa, Dr. Raphael Y. Lewis and Dr. Rona Avisar were conducting research here in the area, but not exactly at this spot where we are, rather throughout the area around us, towards Karnektin, because they were looking for archaeological evidence of major wars from the past that took place here. And by chance, when they were here not far from this place, they noticed that there were some stones that looked a bit different. And they said, maybe there's something here connected to battles and wars from the past. So they came to investigate. And what they discovered left them extremely shocked. They discovered a site that has nothing to do with those wars and is much older than the wars that happened here in the valley. Look at this large structure. They looked and said, how can there be a place like this here and no one knows about its existence? And then they started looking for old maps and noticed that on an ancient map, there was a little dot labeled Horvat, Kankuza. Horvat means the ruins, and Kankuza is the treasure. So they understood that this place is the unknown or forgotten ruin of the treasure. So let's go inside to see what's really in this place. Mochi, our cameraman, you two be careful when you're walking. Look at this. We're in a big building. We're on top of a mountain. It's not easy to get here. Even today, the place still has very limited access. And the stones that were used for the construction are gigantic stones. These archaeologists came to the conclusion that some of these stones weigh more than 6 tons. And there is no trace or evidence of how these stones were moved to this place. But they came to the conclusion, as you can also see with your own eyes, that this was done by human hands. This is not a natural structure, because for a long time, this place was almost completely buried and only a few stones on top were exposed. Many people passing by would say, this is natural. But when they started to excavate, they saw that this is not a natural phenomenon. Instead, it was made by human hands a long time ago. I want you to come here close to me and look at the floor to see that there is more evidence of human handiwork. Look at the amount of pottery in this place. We are seeing ancient pottery. This proves without a doubt that not only did people build this place, but they also used it for some purpose. And it's not a house, it's not a factory, it's nothing agricultural. So what could this place be? Let's first return the ceramics to the side, because this is ancient archaeology. And try to understand what Horvat Kankuza was. There are some things at this site that don't seem to make sense. The first is that there is no kind of entrance door or walkway here. Look, all the walls are complete, which isn't normal for a construction from ancient times or even today. And there's also something a little different. If we look at this stone, except for this stone, all the others are basalt stone, which is the local stone found here. And suddenly, in the middle of all these basalt stones, we find here a stone that is limestone, which is not from this area. And we can also see that the stone was clearly cut by human hands. And imagine bringing a stone like this, carrying it up the mountain. Obviously, the person who built this place, or the people who built this place, cared enough about this stone to bring it here. Look at this stone here, or rather look at this pillar. It is believed that this was a pillar as well because of its flat base, which rested on top of this stone. This is what we call in Hebrew a matzeva, a sacred stone used in biblical times. And because of it, archaeologists concluded that this entire complex was probably a place for rituals in ancient times. And the question is, who performed the rituals here? What rituals exactly were performed? And also the main question, for whom were they performed? If it was a monotheistic place for God, or if it was a place of idolatry, of some kind of pagan ritual. And we see the similarity with other places of pagan worship, such as, for example, the pillars of Tel Gezer, which we see now on the screen. And it was a place where the Canaanites sacrificed children. From here, we can see the size of the place, and notice that it is a perfect square. It's 4.7 by 4.7 meters. It really is a very large structure, especially considering its age. The archaeologists concluded that it is from the Bronze Age. It's at least 3,000 years old. And besides the whole base, we see this entire part here that goes up, and we will also climb it together to see how far we can get and what we can see from up there. Being here, I completely understand why people chose this place to perform their rituals. Look at the view from this place, including many biblical sites. It's about 15 kilometers from Cana of Galilee and only 6 kilometers from the Sea of Galilee. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh. Our drone is having problems. I don't know if it's some kind of interference, but we have to land it now. This is really strange. It's never happened to us before, but we have to keep going. Even now, after coming down from the highest point, I really don't understand what treasure people from ancient times were referring to. Which treasure ruins are here? That we don't know, but what we definitely see here is a ritual site over 3,000 years old on top of a mountain. But the place we're going to visit now is much older. And not on top of a mountain, but rather the opposite. It's submerged underwater. So come with me to discover the most mysterious place in all of Galilee and probably the most mysterious in all of the Holy Land. And now let's continue our journey together through the mysteries of Galilee. We have now arrived at the shores of the Sea of Galilee, or as we call it in Hebrew, Kinneret, a place that by itself holds many mysteries. We are now on solid ground, but actually this level is 211 meters below sea level, and it's only here that the waters of this place begin. It is 21 kilometers long and 13 kilometers wide, and at its deepest point, this place reaches 43 meters in depth. And even though we all call this place the Sea of Galilee, it is not and never was a sea. It is actually a freshwater lake, and civilizations have lived around it since ancient times. Here we have many archaeological sites, including some that are extremely important for biblical history. Jesus walked on these waters. The miraculous catch of fish happened here, and much of Jesus' ministry took place here on the shore of this lake, in the area where we are heading north. But the mystery we're here to talk about today didn't happen in any of the cities around the Sea of Galilee. This mystery is found literally within the waters in the depths of the Sea of Galilee. This story began in 2003 with a sonar survey. They were here working to map the entire area, something that's normal for government research here in Israel. However, when the specialists passed the sonar right in the area next to us, they noticed something in the water. This image we're seeing is exactly the sonar image taken in 2003. And as you can see, and as the scientists saw back then, there's something different in the water. And then the scientists discovered that there's a big mystery here, or rather a gigantic mystery. They discovered a structure at the bottom of the water. It is 70 meters wide and 10 meters high. Guys, 10 meters high. We're talking about a building that's over 3 stories tall by today's standards, and the building is entirely made of basalt stone. The same type of stones that we can see around here. But it's not made of small stones, it's actually built with large basalt stones. And a total of 60,000 tons of stones were used to make these constructions. I don't need to tell you that the scientists were completely shocked by this discovery. But the sonar research didn't bring us answers, quite the opposite. This research raised many questions. The question is, what is this gigantic structure? Who built it and when? And most importantly, why? And that's when the archaeologists and divers come into play. The first diving team goes in and starts to see the structure. The photo you're seeing now was taken by them. The first conclusion the experts reached about this structure is that it was definitely made by human hands. This can't be a natural phenomenon. These stones here are different from the stones found inside. And we also didn't find small stones like these, as we mentioned. There are gigantic stones. So first, we know it was made by human hands. Second, when was this structure built? The archaeologist Yitzhak Paz, who did research here in this area, and also about this structure, he says that at the very least, this structure is 4,000 years old. And he even estimates that it is much older, that maybe it dates back to the 3rd millennium before Christ. We're talking about maybe around 5,000 years. As we've seen, we have a few small answers regarding this mystery, but our biggest questions still haven't been answered to this day. Among them, who built this structure? We know there were places where people lived in this region, but the structure itself is completely isolated. And the question is, was this structure built on land and then the sea level rose, or did they originally build it underwater? And there is a debate among the experts. However, most of them believe that with some ancient technology, they were actually able to build it underwater, that it was always an underwater structure. In 2003, when this sonar made this discovery for the first time, many people were shocked. However, others weren't so surprised because they said, what is here is very similar to another place, which is 30 kilometers from here. 30 kilometers from here, in that direction where today are the Golan Heights, where the biblical Bashan was, there is a place called Gilgal Rephaim, the Circle of Giants. The Circle of the Rephaim is also a monumental structure. There are 42,000 stones that form a circular concentric structure. And in the middle, there is a very large structure, more than 4 meters high, and inside it, a corridor that leads to a gigantic tomb. However, this tomb is empty. Who wants to know all the information about the Circle of Giants? We've already made a video here on the channel. I'll leave it linked up here for you. It dates back to a time very similar to this underwater circle. It's between 4,700 and 5,000 years old. And here we're also talking about between 4,000 and 5,000 years. And that's why when this place was discovered, people started making associations between the two places. Who, 5,000 years ago, had the technology to build a place 160 meters in diameter using hundreds of tons of stone might also have had the technology to do something like this, but underwater. It's been more than 20 years since we've known about the existence of this place underwater. However, since then, no archaeological research has been done at the site. There have been only a few visits by divers. But what needs to be done is to remove this organic material from inside this structure, so we can determine the dating, find out who built it, how, when, and why. Maybe even discover what the purpose of this place was. But for now, all of this is a big mystery. So, here I want to invite the archaeologists from Israel to come and investigate, because I'm sure that a lot will be revealed when this place is researched. And today I'm here outside the waters talking about it. But if you want us to literally dive in, go into the waters, go down to 12 meters deep to show it to you, let us know in the comments. And if we see that there are really a lot of people who want us to come back here, we will come back. So you can write in the comments here, Aline, come back. And if a lot of people want it, we'll come back here. We dove in to show you exclusively also how this place is submerged. For now, today, this place remains one of the great mysteries of all the Holy Land. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like. And I'll see you next week, either on land or in the water.